Hello and welcome back to Kariso. Today we're going to be talking about HHNS. Yesterday we started to cover what would happen if diabetes went out of control, if it went to the extreme. So yesterday we covered DKA, which stands for diabetic ketoacidosis, and today we're going to cover the second scenario which could happen, which is hyperosmolar hyperglycemic non-ketotic state, which is also abbreviated as HHNS. So to explain about this, I'm going to talk about Achong. Achong is, if you remember from yesterday, Mr. Mutu's neighbor and also his cousin Raju's best friend. And Achong has type 2 diabetes, and this is because the Mutu family keeps sending him kueh and sweets and all the laddu, kesari and whatnot every month because Indians have celebration every month. He ate all that to the point where he actually has diabetes now. On the same day Mutu went to his cousin's wedding, Achong went as well. Well, because Achong is Raju's best friend. And since Achong is a workaholic, he just loves working. After work, he went directly to the wedding hall. So he did not bring his medication. His medication was at home. So as usual, it's a wedding, so he ate nicely, whacked the banana leaf set all nicely, ate all the sweets, the payasam, laddu and whatnot, and also had a few cans of beers. Then all of a sudden he felt like he needed to pee, he needed to urine. Initially he thought it was because of the beer, but when he went inside the toilet and he started peeing, it just kept coming out like non-stop, a lot of urine. When he came out of the toilet, he was completely tired, like very fatigued. He sat down and he was so thirsty, but no matter how much water he drinks, the thirst was never quenched. As he was feeling dizzy and lightheaded, all of a sudden he heard all this commotion. People were talking about Mutu passing out. So they called an ambulance for Mutu. What Achong did, he quickly ran and climbed up on the ambulance so that he could go to the hospital as well. So what happened in Achong's case? So Achong has type 2 diabetes mellitus. So that means his pancreas can still produce some amount of insulin, but he did not take his medication and he ate a lot of sugary stuff. All those carbohydrates you eat, all the sweet you eat, all counts as glucose in the body. So there's a lot of glucose in Achong's body right now, but then there's not enough insulin to convert them into energy. So when this happens, the amount of glucose in the blood increases. It's called hyperglycemic state, meaning literally the blood glucose level is very high. When the glucose is very high, and if you remember from our previous videos, glucose is an osmotically active substance. That means wherever glucose is, it'll start pulling water from everywhere. So when the glucose is in the blood and it's so high, it's going to start pulling water from all over the body. So the body's fluid is going to drop and it's all going to go inside the blood vessels. And when there's so much fluid in the body, the kidney will have to excrete it. So when he goes to the toilet, that's called polyuria. There's too much urine coming out from your body. And the kidney doesn't usually excrete glucose. The kidney doesn't throw away glucose. Like 90% of glucose is reabsorbed. Like the kidney will send back 90% of the glucose back to the body because glucose is the main source of our energy. But in this case, there's so much glucose in the blood, the kidney has no choice but to throw out glucose as well. So this brings about a condition called glucoseuria. That means your urine has glucose in it. So when there's so much glucose in the body and it absorbs all the fluid from the cells and start excreting it, the body is going to become very dry. And regardless of how much water you drink, drinking a lot of water, like extreme thirst, is called polydipsia. So no matter how much water you drink, it's not going to quench your thirst because the water is not going into the cells. The glucose in the blood is so concentrated that whatever you drink is just being poured out again. Your body is not getting any fluids. And when your body is super dehydrated and super starved because there's no energy going in at all, you're going to start feeling very fatigued, very confused. It can even affect the way your central nervous system works. That means you'll be doing things you won't normally do when you're clear. There are a few ways to check if your body is dehydrated or not. The first thing is the heart rate. If the amount of fluid, the amount of blood volume in your body is less, that means the heart will have to work harder to move the blood across the whole body. So the heart rate will go up. And if you remember from our previous video about high blood pressure, if the volume of fluid inside the blood vessel is low, the blood pressure will drop as well. So it's high heart rate, low blood pressure. And the physical signs you can actually see is dry oral cavity. That means the tongue, the lips will be dry, the tongue will be white coated. There'll be a white layer of stuff on top of your tongue. And you can check the skin turgor. Skin turgor means how fast your skin returns back to normal. So if let's say you take your skin and you pinch up, you're holding it up, when you let go, it's supposed to go back to normal immediately. But if you hold it up and as you let go, it takes a very slow time to return back to normal, that means your body is dehydrated. If you've been watching yesterday's video as well, you'll understand that diabetic ketoacidosis and HHNS sounds very similar. So what is the difference between DKA and HHNS? The difference is DKA happens in type 1 diabetes, so there's no insulin at all. And if you remember from yesterday's video, I did mention mentioned, insulin, instead of just converting glucose into energy, it also goes inside the cell and stops the body from finding a secondary source of energy, which is usually fat. So in Achong's case, he has type 2 DM, type 2 diabetes. So that means he has some amount of insulin in his body, but instead of those insulin working to convert glucose into energy, they go directly into the cell and stops the body from finding a secondary source of energy. So this prevents the body from going into the acidic state, the diabetic ketoacidosis. But that is not all good news, because HHNS is a medical emergency as well. It has a mortality rate of 8 to 20%, and most of the time if you have HHNS, you'll be admitted directly into the ICU for intensive care. So that's everything you need to know about diabetic ketoacidosis and hyperosmolar hyperglycemic non-ketotic state. If you found this video to be valuable, if you learned anything at all from this video, please do share this video with your friends and family members. Spread the knowledge. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button right there, and please do click the bell icon, because YouTube's algorithm is changing all the time and we want to make sure our videos come and reach you. And until the next informative video, in anything you do, do your best and be the best version of yourself. Bye bye.